Hello everybody, this is Louise from Eat Sleep Cycle, and I'm here today with my partner in life and co-founder of Eat Sleep Cycle, Lee. We thought we'd spend some time today sharing the story of Eat Sleep Cycle and explore how we came from a little hole in the wall and a credit card to the beautiful bicycle paradise that we have today here in Girona and in Malaga. So how did it all start?
Well, about 10 years ago, Louise and I moved over to Girona to escape the rat race in London, looking for sunshine, better cycling, and a happier life. We had no plan to start Eat Sleep Cycle, really, did we, at the start?
Not at the time, no. And when we came here, we started writing about our experience. We had a blog, which we then renamed Eat Sleep Cycle. And from that, the business was born.
What was the very first Eat Sleep Cycle thing?
So I think what happened is we were at the Irish bar having a chat about what we wanted to do, and we had this crazy idea to take some friends across the Pyrenees, and that became the first Eat Sleep Cycle tour.
Okay.
Yeah, who were the guests? Who did we have along?
The first Eat Sleep Cycle tour, I think, were 6 people, friends in Girona,
Mhm.
and it was a very special trip. We met at La Fabrica. And we did it over 6 days. We rode across the Pyrenees. We stayed in a mixture of accommodations. Sometimes Louise and I slept on the floor
We did.
because there weren't enough beds. Say planning is better these days.
But the night by the fridge, it was like,
I remember the night by the fridge.
Yeah.
Didn't sleep a wink.
It wasn't very glamorous.
The guests had an amazing time, and when we arrived at Biarritz. They were so happy, and they just came to us and said, "You need to do more of this. You need to do more of these trips." So that really was our first motivation to grow Eat Sleep Cycle into something bigger than just riding across the mountains with some friends, right? And we had a really good time.
It was really good
We
fun.
were exhausted, but we enjoyed it so much. We thought we want to do more of this,
Yeah.
right? So that was the very first trip.
So on that first trip, everybody had their own bikes. And when we came back, we saw that maybe there was a bit of an opportunity to rent some bikes out to all the cyclists that were starting to come to Girona.
But we had no money.
We did it.
So that was a problem. But we were very lucky because we also did another trip in the Pyrenees. Our second trip was with some very nice Americans who really enjoyed themselves as well. And they left us a nice tip. And the tip from that trip paid the deposit on the very first Eat Sleep Cycle shop.
So this little shop is a hole in the wall just near where Espresso Mafia is today. It was about 30 metres squared and we could fit 7 bikes on hooks on the wall and a bike wash in the back.
Do you remember when those bikes fell off the wall when they were doing a project above? Because when we rented the place out, they didn't tell us that they were refurbishing the whole floor above. And one day, literally all the bikes just fell off the wall onto our heads. Like,
Bikes are fine.
we weren't that fine.
No.
And actually, it was tough times at the start. And I remember in the winter, we couldn't afford to pay for the heating. So we used to wear our woolly hats. Do you remember
Woolly
that?
hats, little
Yeah.
mittens.
And there was people that we used to bring us like a warm cup of tea or coffee back at the start because they felt sorry for us. We were sat in that cold space all
Yeah.
day.
And I think what happened there is we started meeting cyclists coming to Girona. No, we met our first customers and we helped them enjoy the best of the city. I think those first customers gave us so much energy. That's how Eat Sleep Cycle started to grow.
So we were such a small business and we really didn't have any marketing budget. So our way to meet cyclists and get our brand out there was to organize social rides. So right from the start, we would just sort of put a sign out, wouldn't we say, "You're gone for 3 hours," and we'd ride and organize these rides with people from the local community. One of the very first rides we did was Lazy Lunes. The idea was this was that you'd have done hard rides over the weekend, and on Monday you just wanted a slow ride. So it was a slow pace, inclusive, non-drop ride. And I think that grew to about 60 people per week sometimes. That was one of our first rides. And then we arranged also like more challenging rides into the mountains, into the Pyrenees. But right from the start, we were really focused on riding with people in the local community, both local people, but also people visiting from the outside. And I think that's something that's really ingrained in our brand since those early days.
Yeah. One of the coolest things we used to do was these little micro adventures. So they were like extended social rides over like 2-3 days. And we'd go and like book an Airbnb in the mountains, take a bunch of people. We would cook everyone dinner. We were the chefs. Well, I was the chef. Lee was great support.
Yeah,
And that-
aside from the ride.
And in the end, that was how we were learning to deliver great bike experiences, right? So we got used to riding with people of all sorts of levels. I have a memory of the guy with the flat pedals who came on the Mountain Mystery Adventure. Do you remember that? And he just had a ball. He had never really got on a bike before. and we were able to get him through this amazing ride. And he had a bit of a life-changing epiphany moment, right? And I hope he's still cycling now.
And there also was Harriet, who rode the Pyrenees in
Moccasins.
moccasins, those things.
Yeah.
That was interesting. We used to take her to nearly the top of the climb so she could do the last few kilometers and enjoy it. So
Yeah.
really early on, and we're talking like 8 to 10 years ago, we started to learn how to look after people of all different levels on the bike. And I think that was kind of our self-training, wasn't it, to become a fully fledged tour business. In terms of our tours, we actually shared our first kiss on the Stelvio. Do you
We
remember
did. That was back in the day, though.
back in the day? But we decided to go back and relive that moment.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember?
No.
By racing each other up the. Come on, trying to be
We took
romantic.
a group.
Yeah, we took a group and did like a recon trip. And we rode up the Stelvio and explored the Dolomites again, which I know from my past anyway. But from that moment, the Dolomites and the Italian Alps became a new important location for us. But there's always a story to all the locations where we operate in, and this story was our first kiss, which Louise clearly doesn't remember. But anyway, moving on. Meanwhile, back at base in Girona, things were also heating up because the little shop that we had with 7 bikes clearly wasn't big enough.
Mhm.
The bike rental business was growing, and we needed space for more bikes. So we sort of like we would look out of our shop door and then see across the way and just say, "Oh, we'll try and rent that one then."
That one over
So we took the other one across the plaza. So we ended up with 2 little shops, and then all of a sudden, this plaza, which was so quiet for so long, and actually the local people really didn't like that it didn't have life. We brought life to it. And back then, the local people really appreciated some life in the plaza because there's a little churro shop there as well, and they got more business. So really was supporting the local economy.
Well, this was all about the same time that La Fabrica had just opened, Service Coast had just opened, and I think in combination with all the pro riders that were living here and all the social media explosion, it really started a bit of a snowball effect in Girona. And I think we were very much a part of that in our own little way, doing the grassroots rides, getting more people out, spreading the word to friends and family. And that's how I think Girona and Eat Sleep Cycle have grown so much as a cycling destination.
Because I remember when we opened the bike shop we're in now, it was 2018.
Mhm.
And I was riding back from a really nice spin in the Gavaras on my road bike, and just rode past this big glass window, and I was like, "Oh wow, that looks amazing. What's in there?" And it turned out our current bike shop had been empty for 2 years, and it was available. So I was able to negotiate the rent, and then we opened that in
2018.
February 2018,
Yeah.
November 2018, 2018 anyway.
2018.
And when we sort of put the word out that we were having a launch party, we expected 10 people to turn up, 300 people turned up. You couldn't even move
Yeah.
inside.
Get more beers from the bar next door urgently.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. And we were like, wow, what has happened here?
The who's who of the cycling world turned up. So obviously in our tiny little shops, we'd had some impact on the community doing our social rides, and people were interested what we were all about. And I remember clearly at our opening evening, in the very important speeches that everyone, of course, was listening to with great detail, we spoke about collaboration and collaborating not just with local people but with other brands, and that's something that from the very start we've been really, really, we place a lot of importance on collaboration with other brands and local people and foreign people and different types of people.
Another important milestone when we had our 2 little shops is when we hired our first member of staff,
Boris.
which is Boris. Boris is an amazing mechanic from Menorca, and he really helped up the game, shall we say, in terms of the level of bike maintenance that Lee was trying to do on his own.
Hey, I'm a good mechanic. Thank you very much.
I was chief of cleaning and bar tape, and Lee was chief of chief of the maintenance. So that was a really key moment when we were able to give a job to somebody living in Girona. Right, that was a really cool moment.
And talking of staff, at the start, we also went and delivered all of the tours that we
Yep,
did,
100%.
didn't we?
Yeah.
But when there was 2 at the same time,
That's
no,
when you start to look for local guides.
yeah.
And
So
who were the first guides?
we looked first in Girona, and we took them along with us. We showed them the way that we wanted the tour to be delivered. And then, you sort of help them a bit, and then pray that they're going to do as good a job as you. But
Yeah.
in the end, we've managed to get some highly qualified guys that can do as good a job as
Or
us.
better, to be honest,
Better.
no, the key is that they
Yeah.
can do a better job than us. They're more patient. They're
Yeah.
really good with people. They have deep local knowledge of wherever they.
There's that very famous photo of me at the top of the Tourmalet on my phone, guiding someone, like selling another tour.
It's not a good look. Yeah.
So at that point, I was banned from going on tour.
2018, we opened this really beautiful shop in Girona and we had a great party. But what was in the shop?
Not a lot at that time. There was a lot of people when we opened, but
Yeah.
after that, so we were mainly focused on bike hire, and that was our main business. In terms of retail, probably one bike. I think we had map kit very early on, so we worked with map right from the start. Our own kit was and product was non-existent. That was something that came later. So retail wasn't an important part of our business at that point. But then came COVID, the pandemic, didn't it?
So we were in a situation where we had this tours business that was doubling every year. It was going off the scale, and we were renting bikes to everybody who came to Girona, and the business was flying. And then this, obviously overnight, everything changed, the world closed down, and all of our customers disappeared.
Well, they didn't disappear actually, and I just want to take the opportunity to thank any customer guest out there who did retain their deposit with us, because really it's because of you that we're still here today. There was so many cancellations of trips, but so many of our
Very
customers
much support.
didn't
Yeah.
request the money back. They kept it with us, and even today we're still
We're still waiting.
giving these
people-
deposits back to
Come
people. So we're really grateful. We worked so hard through that period to communicate with guests. Don't worry, you can't come in spring 2020. You can come in, summer 2020. Oh, maybe autumn 2020. Maybe spring 2021. You remember the pandemic. It was terrible. But most of the people have then come back to visit us in these past few years. But as Louise says, rightly so, our tours were cancelled. So the business we were on our knees. And so we had to reinvent ourselves. And then so I bought a lot of bikes. No, I just bought loads of bikes.
Yeah, well, I've had all these rental bikes sat there. So the first thing that we decided, right, no one's coming, let's sell the
Right.
bikes. And that became something we lived
Mm.
off. And in the meantime, Lee took an enormous risk, actually, and bought loads of stock for the shop.
Which worked really well. Our retail business grew by 800% in 1 year. So we were lucky, but also we took a risk, and that paid off. It was also really nice because we focused a lot more on the local market, because we had less tourists. So more of our staff needed to be Catalan here in Girona. And then we were selling bikes to the local people. We got into the local cycling groups. We did more of those community rides, which was great. And I think that's when our brand really became stronger in Girona as well, during those COVID years.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So by the end of COVID, we had this really strong local cycling community, and we also had the opportunity to take over the cafe next door. So we ran this crowdfunding campaign, which again, thanks to those of you who got involved, and we were able to open the cafe a couple of summers ago, just as COVID was tailing off, but still not a great time to open a bar. But we made it through, we're out the other side, and that's I think the cafe coming as part of Eat Sleep Cycle has been a huge part of how people come and find us as a destination. And I think one of the things we talked about a lot when starting Eat Sleep Cycle is we want to be a cycling hub. We want people to come and see us. But without coffee and without beer, no one's really coming unless they're hiring a bike or have a need, no? So now people were able to come and just hang out and relax and enjoy the cycling vibes.
Do you remember when the term cycling hub was invented?
No, I don't.
Well, I remember it was on one of our community rides, and we were with a big group of people, and everyone was super engaged with the conversation. Well, they weren't. I was just talking, but we were. I really wanted we wanted a word to describe. We didn't want to be called a bike shop.
Mm.
No offense to bike shops, but we want it to be called something more than a bike shop. That's more in the local community. And also, you need to be able to translate it into Spanish and potentially other languages in the future. So we were coming up with all these ideas, like lab. I mean, what else did we come up with? I can't remember.
Don't know.
But anyway,
It was all rubbish.
we came up with the cycling hub, And we thought that was a really nice way to encompass everything that we offer to the community and to people coming from abroad. So, and that's really stuck, hasn't it?
It has indeed. And I think the last piece of our cycling hub also happened towards the end of COVID when the people who owned the shop what we're standing in now decided to retire. So we were able to take another risk and take over the what's now the kit shop. And that really completes the whole Eat Sleep Cycle terrace.
A big sign went up that said we're retiring, and I was just like, oh no, I need to pay for another rent. We have to take yes. But that really was a big step for us to focus more on our own brand and our own kit because it gave us the space to sell it.
Then what happened was that the cycling market completely crashed in the world of retail. So we ended up with these two big shops, a bunch of bikes to sell, and the bottom fell out of the market. So that was a really, really challenging time for us.
The good news is that travel bounced back
Exactly.
and bounced back strong. So this is how I explain to people of why we're spinning so many plates and we have different business streams, because some people say, well, why do you have cycling hubs and you do bike tours and you have a cafe? And this is the reason, is because the world is just uncertain, isn't it?
It
So
really is, yeah.
as long as people ride a bike, we're in business.
Yeah.
And that's our that's our aim. So did you think it would work from the beginning?
Honestly, if I'd have known then what we have now, I wouldn't have seen a pathway to get there. And I think the beautiful thing is that we've grown quite organically but quite aggressively, right? And we've made the most of every opportunity and been able to pivot when we need to make it work. But was it guaranteed to work? Absolutely not. How about you?
Of course it was guaranteed to work. I mean, yeah. I think we were always going to work as hard as we needed to,
Yeah.
to make it work. So yeah,
Yeah, guaranteed to.
guaranteed success.
Gosh, yeah. So we're nearly 10 years on. What's your favourite part been of the journey?
I think my favorite part day to day is the varied job that I have personally, because I can be with a customer talking to them about a bike that they're interested in buying, or maybe I could be on a tour in the Pyrenees, or I can be in our local kit manufacturer looking at the process. It's all related to cycling, which I don't know if you can tell I love. But it's so varied, and that's the greatest thing I love about the job, and the greatest thing I love about being a business owner. And I wouldn't have it any other way, because I never get bored.
Yeah. But what's the hardest thing been then?
Um, the varied job and all the different things I need to do and be responsible for.
Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah. It's probably also the hardest thing, is that we do have a diverse business, and we do so much, right?
Yeah.
How about you? What's the most rewarding part of the journey for you? Apart from me, of course. I mean,
Our special relationship.
yeah.
No.
We'll talk about that later.
It changes every day, right?
You
I
shouldn't have to think
absolutely
that
love
much
it.
about this.
What came to my head instantly was being able to take people who've maybe not had much cycling experience before and getting them absolutely hooked and being there for them on their journey. That for me is just super special. So someone walks in the shop, they buy their first bike, they wobble off into the distance, then next week they're able to join the group ride, and then guess what? Maybe next week they're actually booking a tour with you and coming on this amazing challenge across the Pyrenees. So for me, I think it's really cheesy, but it's genuinely getting people on bikes, getting them riding and supporting them to achieve what they want to on a bike. And that for me, I just love.
Can I do mine again? Louisa's was so much better than mine. Mine was all about me, but Louisa's was about other people. No, I want to do something like that, something similar to that. But I like that as well.
Nah.
No, but I like when other people achieve. It's like him. Damn, no, it's so good, Lou.
So what do you reckon's been the biggest surprise of running the business so far?
It's hard to choose one. I've got two surprises. My first biggest surprise is that it's really easy to have local and foreign cyclists mingle and mix, because cycling is a really good leveler. So of course you need a bike, but once you're on the bike, the culture and the barriers are broke down, and that's a really nice thing. And I wasn't expecting that. The surprise that I don't like is that as a business owner, and over the last 10 years, there's so many external threats to our business, like the pandemic, like financial crash, like the changes in the cycling market. And yeah, I wasn't expecting that when I started a business, but it also makes it really interesting.
I mean, you don't get bored, right? But I think I agree with you. Like the turbulence is like a roller coaster, and I think we're at the beginning. I was always thinking, okay, next year will be the stability year. That never happens. But actually, I think we'd be quite bored if it did. So, luckily, we're people that we thrive off that challenge. But it is sometimes it does get a bit much. So another big milestone for Eat Sleep Cycle was when we decided to split the two businesses into cycling hubs and cycling tours. And this enabled Lee and I to improve our working relationship as Lee took the cycling hubs and I took the cycling
That's
tours.
not the important bit. No, the bigger bit, a bigger bit. Nah.
And that was a really great moment because both businesses were growing really fast and we needed to restructure a little bit and make sure that we each had our own teams to look after each side of the business well.
One of the challenges of having a diverse business is some people think we're a bike shop, but they don't see our tours business and all the facilities we have in our central office.
Mhm.
So, and there's a dedicated team there designing trips every day all over the world. And that's the part of the business which we're really focused on in the future, isn't it? The tours.
So the cycling tours business is the side of the business that we're really keen to grow. We're cyclists and we love riding bikes. And riding bikes in cool new places where the cycling is exceptional is just such a driver to get out there, grow the business, add new destinations. And I think one of the favourite parts of my job is I get to go meet those awesome people who live there and build the trips together with other cyclists. Right?
Because really, there is no limit to our tours business in terms of amazing destinations to ride a bike.
The
I
world
mean,
is a big place.
pick a place wherever you live or wherever you would dream to go, you can ride a bike there, be that on a road, on gravel, a mountain bike, an e-bike. So that's what's really exciting, isn't it? That side of the business. So it's been 10 years. What's your most memorable moment running the business?
There's loads, there's loads. I guess one standout one was when we opened the cafe and had an epic party. That was really cool. We had live music, everything was buzzing, and we were like, oh my gosh, what have we created? And that was just exceptional. No, that was a cool day. What about you? What was a standout moment?
I think for me, it's being on tour and probably on tour with the Full Monty group, who are now our part investors.
Yeah,
So it's a really nice story because they came on tour with us, I think 2016,
2016, one of the
their very first tour, and then we really got to know them. They did the Pyrenees to start with, which was great. Always working hard on the bike, going up the climbs, having a great time, and then celebrating at the end of the day. And that just whole that's kind of escape from normal life, being on tour, suffering a bit on the bike and celebrating at the end of the day. I just love that. So we've had some really amazing guests over the years, haven't we, on our tour?
100%.
Who do you remember the most, or what experience do you remember the most from?
I think there's one of our first guests. He came on tour with us to celebrate his 60th birthday, and he brought all of his friends, and we created this epic across the Pyrenees trip for them, and it was phenomenal. They were like doing two mountains and then doing an extra one just because they could, before having beer o'clock at the hotel.
And that was his 60th
That was
birthday,
60th
and
birthday.
he's still doing tours with us today, and that
Yes.
was 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think what's been really nice is we've got to know that group so well. Like they've become good friends and they're in Girona, we hang out, drink a glass of wine. Like it's you build these lovely relationships with people you would not meet otherwise. And that again, that's why cycling is so special because you get to meet people from all different backgrounds who just love riding. So for me that's been really special, getting to know that group over the years.
Yeah, I totally agree. And quite often we meet people on tour and then they come to Girona or to Malaga to one of our hubs just for a short break, maybe with their family, and they're also hanging out in the hub, and it's just really nice, isn't it? And then maybe they join another tour. So yeah, it's about the people we meet on the bike and doing this, isn't it? That's, I think, what motivates us the most.
And what makes this sustainable is now we've got this awesome team of people. There's 38 of us now in the business, and each and every one of them is awesome and loves bikes. And what's really cool is now those people who are now our staff are going out and building those relationships with guests and customers too. I feel like we're spreading this big network of cycling happiness through the people we work with, the guests that we meet, and the customers that we have.
So ideally, everything would go right first time on tour, wouldn't it?
That would be lovely.
Luckily, with these tips like that, does every time. Maybe not. Can you remember any of the times when something's gone wrong, or?
Well, I think we have to go out and do a lot of recons, right? So when we want to build a new trip, we put it all together. I study the map for hours. We do loads of research and we create the outline of a tour, and then we go and check it out. Um, I think one of the sketchiest moments was in Morocco. Do you remember that? In that hired vehicle. So I was looking at the map, but the map in Morocco, lots of it isn't on there when you're actually there. The GPS does not work. And and the sun was setting, we were driving into the
Yeah.
Atlas, and we went down a track and the road just ended at a little
Yeah,
village
and there
house.
wasn't enough width to turn around,
And there's like a sheer
so I
drop.
had to back up this mountain at altitude with Louise, who doesn't drive and is not a very comfortable, you know,
I'm very supportive.
she was screaming. And there was snow as well, wasn't there?
At one point, there
There
was
was
snow.
snow on the path. So yes, that was an adventurous night.
What about moments on trips where things haven't gone to plan?
Yeah, even on a trip, things can go wrong. Things out of our control. So I remember riding over the Tourmalet in short sleeves and shorts on, 25 degrees, and then 48 hours later, there was a snowstorm and you couldn't ride over it. So we found this out sort of halfway up the climb with the first group. So luckily we got them to the top, and then a vehicle collected them. But with the second and third group, we planned the route in our headquarters to go around the Tourmalet. Do you remember that one?
I do. I was
Yeah.
back at base, like sending over the new routes and
Yeah.
making sure that guests were basically safe now and still able to enjoy a cool trip.
Yeah, and we had the same on the Stelvio. There was a snowstorm. And that's why, having that support there in those moments, thinking on the spot, keeping everybody safe. That's always what we're trying to do.
Safe and fun.
Yeah.
So 10 years on, what's next?
Well, I would like to do more hubs.
Hmm.
So I think they're really nice thing in the community, good for our brand. And I would like to do more hubs in dot dot dot. You have to stay tuned to find out. How about you, Louise? What would you like to do next?
Yeah, more trips,
Mm.
more destinations, exploring new places.
And also, we have our kit brand. eSleep Cycle has become a brand now over the years through the hard work that we've done on our tours and in our hubs. So we'll be focusing more on our own eSleep Cycle kit, which is made locally. It is really good quality. Just click here and give you a link to the online shop. So yeah, that's become really much more important to us, hasn't it? The cycling kit.
I think so, and it's that combination of cycling hubs, really beautiful kit, and travel that makes Eat Sleep Cycle what it is. So looking back at these last years then, is there anything you would have done differently or decisions you would have not taken that you did? Any regrets?
I don't think so. I think at the time, all the decisions that we've made have been well informed and based on the situation. I don't regret anything at all. Why do you? Is that why you're laughing? Do you regret something? How about you, Louise? Is anything that
I think
no, I'm stood right here. I'm your husband.
every decision we've made with the business is working, right? So it's taken us, every decision we've made has put us on the path we're on, and it's working and we're enjoying it. And I think we've got customers that are really happy too. So I don't
Mm-mm.
think so.
I think I should have got my SRAM Red AXS group set earlier, maybe for my bike.
I think at the beginning it was incredibly stressful. So you're like trying to build this business, you're hiring all these people, your overheads go up and up and up. And I think it's not a regret, but I think now, over time you manage that a lot better and you
Mm.
have more confidence in what you're doing. And I guess that's the beauty of time passing, right? So now we're at a point where, there's the occasional sleepless night, but it's not every night is sleepless. And we're able to really enjoy this journey. And I guess be motivated now for the next 10 years. Oh my goodness. Wait. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed our rambling conversation about the origins of Eat Sleep Cycle, and learned a little bit about how we've got to where we are today, got to know us a little bit. Really thank you for watching and for sticking with us. If you'd like to see more of this, if you'd like more tips about traveling in Spain and abroad, then do hit that subscribe button.